What is up, everybody? Welcome back to No, I said discography. It's been that long since I've hosted. Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Joe here with Cramser. No Jason, he's moving still. And he was happy to miss this week because we are doing, seriously, for real, Miley Cyrus. I don't know how this even happened. I don't know why it was suggested. Did you suggest Miley Cyrus? Was it a joke or was it real?
Oh, it was real. We need to spread our horizons. We knew Jason was taking a week off, and usually when we float around the ideas of things to do without Jason, he's usually like, "Oh no, I want to do that one." So I just skipped all the bullshit and was like, "Let's just think of something he doesn't want to go do." So
Well, you picked a good one. Miley Cyrus, former Disney pop queen, broke out on her own after Hannah Montana. And she has some interesting, interesting stuff to say the least. Interesting career, interesting life. She's only 29, 30 right now. So I don't think she's going to stop making records. So it'll be interesting to see where she goes from her last one, Plastic Hearts, in 2020. But lots to talk about. This is going to be a real interesting one, I think. Completely no clue what you're going to go with. And yeah, we're really going to subject the viewers to Miley Cyrus week. So might as well kick it off. 7 albums to talk about.
I have never listened to an entire Miley Cyrus album. And I will preface this by saying I think she's kind of a cool artist. She's got a cool career. I love her voice. There's no doubt about that. And my impression of her and the things I like about her are better represented out of this discography. I think she does great live shows, great performer, great covers. Maybe we'll see not the best albums in the world, but we've got 7 to talk about. And the one I'm starting off with at number 7 is the debut, her big transformation breakout, Hannah Montana 2 soundtrack album, Meet Miley Cyrus. Whatever we're officially calling it, I guess, Meet Miley Cyrus. I only have it at 2 stars. I don't think it's very good. Obviously, this is amazing to some people, mainly pubescent young girls. Like, we're just not the target audience. This makes sense, and we don't really go objectively. Objectively, it's a very good album for young people that watch Disney Channel. We're not that, so I'm just giving it 2 stars. I think it's a bad album. Bit of a country twang to some of these songs, like Make Some Noise. It's exactly what you think it is. This is 2006, 2007, like child-like pop rock album. It's easy, simple high school pop rock, classic song structure with big, predictable, big, arena rock, simple choruses. She's very young and she doesn't have that raspy, honey-soaked, powerful voice with all like the glitter and the sex appeal. I think the song Rockstar is kind of cool. Synth driven, very pop punky, almost sounds like Scotty Doesn't Know from Eurotrip. Like she's got a lot of like Kelly Clarkson and Avril Lavigne vibes here. There's some good drumming on it. Like it's not a poorly made album by any means of the imagination. It's really slickly produced. And in a way, it does have that innocent charm. She definitely has talent. You can tell even on these early albums that she has some talent. She just has no artistic voice. She's just kind of like a corporate cog in the machine. There's a different writer pretty much for every track on this album. Song Old Blue Jeans doesn't do it for me at all. I think it's kind of daffy and goofy. It has a terrible big synth bouncy sound to it. Sounds like a poor sci-fi sound effect from like a bad video game or something. Life's What You Make It is not bad. There's a decent hook on it. She just has no natural ability right here, and she just blends in with everything. But like I said, she's still got charisma and talent, and she's treating the album at times like she is a live performer. She's like doing the come-ons and stuff like there's an actual audience in the studio, which is her bread and butter. I think she's a really good live performer. Like the reason why I kind of got interested in Miley Cyrus a couple years ago was like her covers of Zombie and Jolene and stuff like that, and she sounds great. There's a pretty catchy chorus on One in a Million. It's got that big 2000s teen romance power to it. Pretty much filler everywhere else. Bigger Than Us, really quite generic. You and Me Together is just straight up bad. So obviously not our cup of tea, and my score shows it. That's my number 7.
Well, that is an interesting review of an album I didn't listen to. I listened to the other half, the Meet Miley Cyrus half. So that half, I think you'd enjoy a little bit more. So it's not at my bottom. For for me, my number 7 is going to be Can't Be Tamed, which is, this is like the obligatory I'm not on Disney Channel anymore album. Starts off with like a mock air raid siren. It's like, look out world, bad girl Miley is here. It just takes it like right out of the Britney Spears playbook after Oops, I Did It Again. And after her like teen phase, she started to get bad girl Britney on her 3rd album. And this one, it just feels like it's copying so many other people. Lady Gaga and Kesha, she was around then, I don't even know, 2010, that's pretty early. But it's just so formulaic. And for me, it has even less personality, because the only personality I'm getting is like the stage, like I'm a bad girl now. And I think Miley does a great job of breaking out of that on her next couple albums, where it seems like it's like the real Miley, like the real dirty talk stuff. This is like the dirty for teens, so it's still safe and it's still corporate. Can't Be Tamed sounds like a Britney Spears cover, pretty much. Her cover of Every Rose Has a Thorn is terrible, way too synthesized. I feel like she could have jazzed it up, made it like a country banger or something like that. She doesn't quite have that rasp in her voice, so she's still kind of trying to be, the teenage, but sort of bad at the same time. So I just don't think she has a personality yet. Still kind of going about like what her handlers think she should be doing at this stage in her career. So she got to break out of the Disney. She got to be a bad girl, but it's just also like formulaic and by the numbers, that there's just nothing here that, if I heard this, I would just write her off, basically. If this was the first thing I heard, I was like, there's no way she's going to be done. It gets a little bit, there's a couple decent songs towards the end. By that time, I've pretty much tuned it out. This is 2-star album for me. Real bad. I mean, if you like really generic dance pop, this is a great album for you, but no, not for me.
All right. My number 6, I'm going in chronological order so far. I've got Breakout. I'm still at 2 stars. I don't think it's very good. Still more rockin' than a lot of the pretty girl pop of the time. More Avril Lavigne than Michelle Branch and stuff like that. Just a year later than the previous album, and her voice is a little bit more boisterous. It does kind of fail as a breakout because it's not that different than the debut. Still pretty derivative of like the pop punk mainstream rockers. The song 7 Things is really clunky, and I hate some of the obvious topical lines, like if you text it, I'll delete it. Driveway is a really basic track. I don't mind Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I think it's kind of a cool reimagining. I kind of like the strings. I don't like it as much as the original. And I think it's kind of pretty ambitious. Full Circle is okay. I actually really like Fly on the Wall. They're doing that Muse sound better than Muse does. Sorry, I just had to shoot that at you. Bottom of the Ocean is decent. So I think she's growing a little bit with some more interesting creative kind of output. And I like kind of the way it plays in the album coming after Fly on the Wall. Wake Up America is excruciating. Simple Song is a cool little piano rocker, and I think the song Goodbye is too sweet and corny for her. So she's still not the artist that she will become. She doesn't have that classic Miley voice. So still just at 2 stars. My number 6, Breakout.
That is also my number 6. And I feel pretty much the same way as you do. I don't mind it though. I think it's, for like what it is, I think it's pretty good. I do appreciate that she does have writing credits on a lot of these. And she's kind of like a less successful Taylor Swift on some of these, like especially 7 Things just screams Taylor Swift to me, but it's a little clunkier. It doesn't quite have the Taylor Swift magic. So she is still finding herself, but there are a couple tracks on here that are pretty decent. Full Circle, Fly on the Wall, Bottom of the Ocean, These Four Walls, Simple Song. I mean, these are fine, like pop rock. I'd take this over, Simple Plan, probably over Avril Lavigne. It's in that same general, universe. But it just seems to me it's sweet, it's nice, it's well played. Somehow Pete Anderson has an engineering credit from Dwight Yoakam stardom. I don't know why he's on there, but whatever he did, I like it. Full Circle, I think especially really good hook, great chorus. And Wake Up America is her worst song, just the worst. So I can't even get through it. It's so lame. It's, she tries to be activist and, do stuff, and total falls on her face. But everything else, these 4 walls, again, very Taylor Swifty, but decent, like not bad Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift's not bad for what she is. So she's at least following the right people. It's not embarrassing. It's okay. If I heard this, I would say, okay, this girl probably has talent. I think she should do something. So not bad. I have it at 3 stars, a low 3-star.
All right. I wouldn't think Jason would ever get to 3 stars, so we're in pretty good territory. I'm still at 2 stars though for my number 5, which is Can't Be Tamed. So I'm rolling along the timeline here, and first things first, she apparently listened to a lot of Lady Gaga before she put that on. You hit the nail on the head here. And I will say this, even though I've got some of these albums at really low scores, pretty much every album has a song that I like. And the ones on here that I like are Two More Lonely People and My Heart Beats for Love at the end. But I think this one does a couple of big no-nos for her. First of all, like you said, she's trying to be all her big coming out sexual awakening party, and it's still not too natural. It seems pretty forced. Pretty much just says, like, everyone who liked you 4 years ago is now 17 and 18, so we got to turn up the sexuality. And it's not too natural. And I also think that her vocals are way too synthetic. Like, her talent is in her voice, her natural sounding voice. And this one is just way too messed with. So I don't know if this is her best kind of style. I do kind of like Liberty Walk, which is very Gaga-esque, that big 4 on the floor kind of beat. But with her voice all flattened out throughout this, all the emotional kind of stuff, and she can be really emotional when she sings, doesn't come out. So she obviously hasn't found herself, going too much with that club style. And I would say that most of the time her lyrics really aren't that bad. I don't think it's a major problem in her catalog, but if there are some bad lyrics, it's kind of on this album, and that kind of plays into the I'm trying to be too sexy and mature, ahead of my time kind of thing. You are right. I don't like the original of Every Rose Has Its Thorn, but it is way better than this one. This is one of the worst covers I've ever heard in my life. Two More Lonely People, like I said, is good. Permanent December is okay. Stay, I don't care for at all. Pretty weak. And I kind of like some of the songs at the end. So there's a couple of highs, a lot of kind of mid lows. But yeah, just doing this style ruins her voice, and that's the main attraction of this catalog. So still 2 stars. My number 5, Can't Be Tamed.
Right. My number 4, we're going to skip ahead a couple years. And this one comes in an awkward spot because I thought she was doing some cool stuff before. And I like what she does after. But this one feels safe. I got Younger Now. This one, I mean, she was doing some real weird shit on Dead Petz. And on this, it's like, I'm taking all of that back, and I am just middle of the road, sort of mostly pop, a little splash of country, and it just bores me. It's very like same tempo all the way through. And the songs, Younger Now, Malibu, those are the hits, I guess. I don't remember hearing them at all. Apparently they were very popular. But to me, they just kind of blend in. Sounds to me like she's kind of doing like a Lana Del Rey kind of thing sometimes, like sort of like detached, and but like she doesn't have that self-conscious like pop princess kind of thing enough. Like the lyrics I think are a little boring on this. None of that like really explicit sexuality that she was given on Dead Petz and even Bangerz. And this one, it feels a little uninteresting. Even the Dolly part and duet just doesn't do much for me. It's just very sort of like it's pleasant, but a little anonymous, a little too safe. There's a couple decent tracks. Again, they come towards the end. I'm nothing really in the first half grabs me. I do like Big Mood, some really cool backing vocals, some nice jangly guitar coming in on I Would Die For You. She's Not Him, kind of boring. And finally on Inspire, they like add some fiddle and a little more country instrumentation. I would have liked to hear a little more of that throughout. Like you get little hints of country, but you don't get like a big country ballad or anything like that. It just kind of too much around the edges and not like into it. And so it comes off just a little kind of boring country flavored pop that a little too anonymous. Her vocals are good. She's getting a little more of that rasp in there, which is nice at this point. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a pretty big step back from what she was doing on Bangerz and Dead Petz, which is a lot more interesting and I feel like more her personality. So 3 stars again for Younger Now.
All right, so we got a big difference of opinion there. My number 4 is Bangerz. Lots of new producers and kind of style. You get Pharrell Williams. I love the song Adore You. I think that's really good. You're getting some more kind of chill, hip hop kind of vibes. I don't love all of the production. On the song We Can't Stop, and then a few other tracks, so you get that weird low male voice coming in that I don't care for. I don't like the Britney Spears collaboration. I do kind of like 4x4. It's kind of wild and crazy. So my relationship to like the stuff I like with her is kind of on each end of the spectrum. I like when she's kind of wild and boisterous and all over the place. And then I also kind of like her more controlled stuff. When she kind of plays around in the middle, doesn't go for it either way, is when she kind of loses me. I love Wrecking Ball. I think that's a really good pop song. But like Love Money Party doesn't do anything for me. It seems like she's singing a song someone else just wants her to do. Hashtag Get It Right. Nice little change of pace on this album. And Drive is pretty cool. I think a lot of the album needs to be trimmed down here. It feels a lot longer than it is, and I think it's a big problem. Synth part on FU is pretty cool. So there's a lot of elements to this I like. She's much more mature on this album, and I think this is what she kind of wanted to be on Can't Be Tamed. Obviously, it's like 3 years later and probably more an appropriate age for her to do this kind of album. But there is a lot of filler on it too, like Maybe You're Right. The album kind of pretty much finishes really weak. It's just a collection of the worst tracks of the sessions, and I'm not sure why they're even really left on. And I don't know if it's good or bad that she kind of is switching producers and stuff all the time. But I do think it's good that she like never makes an album that she feels like she's supposed to. She just makes the albums that she's like in the mood to make at that time. So I do give her credit for that. Doesn't always work. So I think I'm going up to 2.5. I think it's a decent album with some really good songs on it. But would I revisit again? Probably not. So I got to go less than 3. Bangerz, number 4, 2.5 stars.
Bangerz, not my number 4. My number 4 is going to be the debut. Me and Kramzer are just splitting this one, I guess. You listen to the Hannah Montana one, and I'm listening to the Miley Cyrus, Meet Miley Cyrus. And it's got to be better than the Hannah Montana one. I think it's pretty good, like pop punk. It's nothing special, but there's just so many hooks on this that it's I don't know, it's inevitable. It just gets in my brain. It's lame. It's made for teenage girls. It's absolutely not made for anyone with a beard, just at all. So I'm way out of the target audience. But I can't help myself. Disney, just something about them. Their production is so good all the time. And even like, I always fall for this dumb Disney song. So this is like right in that wheelhouse. Just everything's loaded with hooks. See You Again is just like so lame, but it is so catchy. And for some reason, like all the girls at my college were obsessed with this song at some point senior year. They absolutely loved it. And I was like, why are you listening to the Hannah Montana song? And then it got in my brain, and now I really like it. So clunky as heck. The line my best friend Leslie said, "Oh, she just being Miley," is so weird. Like I don't know. There's something about this song just so weird. But it's super catchy. East Northumberland High is like a Disney torch song, and it's perfect. It's like a perfectly written, arranged song for teenage girls, and somehow it works on me. Let's Dance, you got like vaguely Latin dance pop. Girls Night Out, written by Matthew Wilder, Break My Stride. The second time I've ever heard him mentioned anywhere. And it's a fine song. It's really lame. It's really cheesy. It's so like there's not even a hint of like sexuality at all on this album. So it's like super innocent. It's just nice and charming, and it's better than Avril or Simple Plan or stuff like that. It's pretty good, like pop punk, and it even Start All Over. It got some nice overdriven guitars on there. It's better than Nickelback, way harder than anything they've ever released. And I think this album succeeds by like just not trying at all to be anything other than it's not. Like, it knows exactly what it is. I think Miley sings it really well, and it's just super catchy, and I like it more than I should. 3.5 stars for Meet Miley Cyrus.
Fair enough. I'll have to check it out. I'm glad we covered both bases for that very confusingly marketed album. I had no idea what to do. Anyway, my number 3, I've got Plastic Heart. Still a 2.5, but it's close to 3. Bit back to the heavier and more aggressive, punkier pop rock style at times. Then she does like a little bit more glam, disco, even some like industrial stuff. You've got Mick Ronson getting a credit on here. Or Mark Ronson, excuse me. You also got Stevie Nicks on a bonus track. You've got Dua Lipa, Billy Idol, and Joan Jett all guest vocaling. So it's kind of an album where she's, grabbing everything out of her hat and trying it out. And it works for the most part, but I don't know if the songwriting really excels to blow me away with any of the tracks. So it's just like falls a little short of 3 stars for me. At times it's more violent and cerebral than like the more relaxed Younger Now and the more experimental Dead Petz. You get some of the bigger guitar sounds on here. Big sounds really everywhere. It's probably her biggest sounding album, I'd say. And even though I do like the 2 previous albums before this more, I do like how, like I said, she just makes whatever album she wants based on her mood and her influences, which is really cool. What the Fuck Do I Know is a pretty decent opener. I like this title track, has a cool like 80s dancey bouncy beat. Angels Like You is a really, really good, powerful, emotional song that just missed my top 10 tomorrow. But there are some duds. I think Prisoner is kind of a lazy by the numbers, pop song. I do like the industrial 9 Inch Nails kind of sound of Give Me What I Want. Night Crawling with Billy Idol is also pretty damn good, I'd say. Billy Idol rules. He can do no wrong. That just missed my top 10 tomorrow as well. And I dig the groove on Midnight Sky. It's got kind of Edge of 17 vibes. That's also kind of the problem, is everything is still a little bit derivative and just remind you of something else at times. High is kind of that big singer-songwriter country song that you probably wanted on We're Younger Now. And I kind of like, bringing in this kind of country ballad out of nowhere. But Never Be Me, pretty weak. Bad Karma, pretty weak. I think it's a decent album. Not too many standouts. Something's just missing for me. Close to 3 stars, but I can't quite recommend it. 2.5. It's merely decent.
Wow. All right. Interesting there. My number 3, I'm going to go with an album that could be a lot better, or at least higher rated. I think it's a very interesting album, and it could have gotten to 4 stars easy if it had some trims. But this one, Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Petz, is just so long, and she released this one free, which that's cool. Like, she's doing cool stuff. She worked with Wayne Coyne and the Flaming Lips on this for a bunch of tracks, which is really weird. I had no idea until I started reading about the album that was a thing. I was like totally shocked. I don't remember hearing that at all. Like, no idea any of this happened. And it's 23 songs. It's 92 minutes. So it is just so long, especially towards the end. But there are some really cool like soundscapes and production on this. Right off the bat, it's kind of arranged in like sections of like different producers, which is cool. It gives it like a nice continuation. You have Do It, Karen Don't Be Sad, the Floyd song, Something About Space Dude, all with like these big synths, like these weird kind of textures all over the place. Obviously, the Flaming Lips, big influence on all that. So it's just really interesting to hear a pop star like Miley go with them. Just a really cool, dreamy, psychedelic synth sound all over it. And I could have used like a whole album of that. And then it kind of flips things around, because it gets really, really explicit just out of nowhere, starting with Space Boots, Fucking Fucked Up, BB Talk, Freaky, Bang Me Box, Milky Milky Milk are just like the most explicit songs I've ever heard on an album, outside of like Trina. Like this is like beyond Prince, like beyond, I don't know, Lizzo, like beyond whoever's Doja Cat. Like this is really like personal, explicit stuff, which is interesting. I don't mind it at all because it feels like it's real, like right out of her life, and not like just I'm putting this on because I want to be bad and I want to make people talk. Like it feels like this is really like her, straight out of her diary, her confessional, which is cool. And the production on it, some of it's Flaming Lips, some of it's Mike Will made it, who does a lot of stuff on Bangerz. And she, well, if it's a Mike Will track, she'll say in every track, which gets annoying, Mike Will, and she does it way too much. Got on my nerves a little bit by the 300th time. But even tracks, Bang Me Box, Milky Milky Milk, I think the production is really cool. Very like swirling, very psychedelic, tons of cool synths on this. Bang Me Box has a great slow jam bass line, some cool 70s style funk guitar. Slab of Butter has a really cool vibe. The synth sound on I Forgive You is great. Lighter has like that retro future, a little bit like Carly Rae Jepsen Emotion, kind of 80s stuff. And it's really cool. It's weird as heck. And it basically could end after track like 15, maybe 16, and probably 4 or 5 tracks in between there cut out. So there's a 12 song album here. I think it would be really awesome. But it goes on too long, so only getting to 3.5 stars, but it really impressed me overall.
Yeah, that's my number 2, Miley Cyrus's Dead Petz. I have it at 3 stars, but it's probably 3.5 with how impressive and interesting it is. It's her big, just creative, artistic explosion, like you said. It's her weirdest, influenced by and in collaboration with Wayne Coyne and Flaming Lips, which you can tell a lot of songs like Karen Don't Be Sad is very Flaming Lipsy. It's actually quite beautiful. Do It introduces you to like the whole vibe of the album right off the bat, where she's just talking about how she loves to smoke pot. Sounds very lush and spacious, so unlike her other stuff, which is like, even though I don't quite love it, and I probably would really like this album, it would be 3.5 if it were trimmed for sure. Nothing about it is very radio friendly. It's very stoned out and psychedelic and cool. So artistic, and you even get those little pieces like Fucking Fucked Up and BB Talk. And yeah, right in the middle, when you get that strain of songs like I'm So Drunk and Milky Milky Milk, it's just like, oof, honey, calm down, have a cup of tea or something. But I do kind of like that there's, it's not a big club dance album or anything. It's just really cool. It does need more rhythm and tempo change up for sure, but it's just so interesting that it gains so many points with me. It's really musical at times and less prosthetic. I think Lighter is a really cool song. It's maybe more accessible than most of the other stuff on here. One Sun is cool. And I really think Pablo the Blowfish toward the end is adorable because it's like so bizarre and on the head, but it's also very touching in its honesty. Like she's talking about her dead blowfish and how disgusted she is at dinner watching her friends eat sushi and all of that. And it's just like really quirky and cool. Yeah, you touched up on everything else I kind of want to say. So I do recommend this album, even though it's 90 minutes. It's still good and it's very interesting. So 3 stars, my number 2, and it would be my number 1 if it were just packaged better. So there it is, number 2, Miley Cyrus's Dead Petz.
Right. My number 2 is going to be Bangerz. It's not as good probably as Dead Petz. It's definitely not as interesting, but I think it is a great step forward from the like corporate synthesized sexuality of Can't Be Tamed. Like this, I feel like is really Miley. Like it's just like ADD all over the place. Adore You kicks it off like just really nice, like sweet power ballad. And then it goes right into We Can't Stop, which feels like, this feels like totally like Miley. Often when I listen to like a Britney Spears banger, it's like, okay, like that's just taught like corporate speak. Like this feels like all of Miley's in it. the talking about dancing with Molly and like, you know, getting a line in the bathroom, like just drugs and sex and just like whatever, like this is what Miley's about now. And I buy it. Like I totally buy, like that's really her. So I do appreciate that. SMS Bangers with Britney Spears, it's okay. I do like the Pharrell tracks, 4x4, Get It Right. And then there's 2 bonus tracks that I really like from him as well. I could use an entire collaboration, entire album, just Pharrell and Miley. I think that'd be really cool. The other songs, I think Wrecking Ball, which I didn't appreciate in the beginning when it came out, I think is a pretty cool song. I really like the synth stuff. And you know, the guest rappers, Nelly, Future, Big Sean, French Montana, I think they all do a good job. I think Miley blends right into like the hip hop world really well. Like she has a totally natural fit with the guest stars, and surprisingly effective and good. I didn't think much of Bangerz coming in or Dead Petz. Like I'd heard the tracks from it and I just didn't care at all. But listening to it, better than I expected for sure. I do like Mike Will Made It's production a lot on here. Love his synth sounds. So I think it works. Against all odds, Bangerz is pretty darn good. 3.5 stars, but it's like a middle upper 3.5 for me. I think it's not bad for what it is.
Seems like most of these albums are surpassing your expectations, I would say. All right, my favorite Miley Cyrus album is Younger Now. And I kind of see what you're saying about playing it safe, but I don't really see it that way. I find this album to be her just kind of at peace and focusing on herself in the songwriting. I think the title track is really cool. You know, it's more of a stripped down or at least rootsier kind of pop rock record. And I think this has her best vocal performances. She's reined in, but still really strong and emotional. Title track's good. Kind of a back to basics record that finds the perfect middle ground to me of all her vibes. I like Malibu quite a lot. I've always liked it. I remember liking it, but not realizing right at first, the first few times I heard it, that it was her. Yeah, just really really at peace, really mature and emotional. I like Miss You So Much. I Would Die For You is really good. I don't think there's a bad song on this album. None of it really blows me out of the way. Like some of these are going to make my top 10 songs, but you know, I still only have the album at 3 stars. Miley Cyrus, not, you know, Animal Collective or Rush or Radiohead or Sonic Youth. So I merely like these songs. Her voice is just the star of the show. Thinking is solid, just simple, easy to listen to, catchy tunes here. Nothing crazy, kind of toned down for her, which I think is good. You know, I like that obnoxious side of her. It's not really here at all. Bad Mood is cool. Nothing really yucky here at all. Love the sound of the reverb on the drums on She's Not Him. And you get that cute little closer with Inspired. I just think it is a good, well polished, put together little pop rock album. She sounds good. Everything sounds good. The songs are good enough. 3 stars. I recommend it. It's a good 40 minutes.
All right, to my number 1, got to be Plastic Hearts from 2020. This is the only one I had heard in full before this, and I really did like it. It was in my top 20 for 2020. I had it at 4 stars. So I liked it coming in. I didn't think the rest of her discography was going to be as interesting as it was, but it was very cool to go back and see how she evolved and everything, and got to Plastic Hearts. This one, I feel like she found, I think she can do country. I definitely think she can do country, but I also think she can do 80s influenced, you know, pop rock. You know, this is Pat Benatar rock and roll. This isn't, you know, hard edged Guns N' Roses type stuff. You heard a lot of stuff in all the music magazines about, oh, rock's back. Miley brought it back, and that's a little bit too far. Like there's some definite rock influence. There's some rock elements, plenty of rock elements on here, but it is a pop rock record. Pop, I think, first. And It's good pop though. It's 80s pop, so it's good stuff. I really like her voice on this one as well. Like this is this is how you'd think she would sound if you heard her talk, because she has that rasp and that like gritty, like lower voice. And she never quite let it out, I don't think, until this album. Like it's real smoky and raspy, uh, which is cool. Good to hear that coming out. And I think What the Fuck Do I Know, Plastic Hearts, they're very good songs. They have a great hook, both of them. The problem, and I think you talked about it a little bit, is all of these songs kind of sound like something else that you've heard. The originality is not the strong suit on this. Midnight Sky, it does sound like Edge of 17. And there's a bunch of stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, I've definitely heard that before. I can't exactly place it, but liberally borrows from classic albums, which is okay, I think, because it works. I think she performs it very well. I like Angels Like You, nice, kind of like a Gaga, like late period Gaga record, or something off like Joanne maybe. The duet with Dua Lipa, Prisoner's okay. Give Me What I Want, I really like. It's got that sexuality. Love the dark synths and the pulsing bass. I think it's a good one. Love Night Crawling with Billy Idol. He sounds perfect. Like they just sound like a perfect match for each other. And like that one sounds like a kind of song that would like fit perfectly right on the Lost Boys, the remake, of course, that they'll be doing soon. They could go right right on that soundtrack. Midnight Sky is great. Like Hated had a little country flair in it. And What Happens If I Die? Have my friends get drunk and high. I like that. It's a good looking, good outlook on life right there. Joan Jett guest, kind of weird. Didn't love that one. But I think Never Be Me is pretty good. Golden G String, good closer. Lets Miley really tell her story. And it's got to be tough growing up like as a Disney pop princess idol and going through all these changes and everything, and the fact that she's still around. And this was a huge album, Spotify streams of 500,000-600,000 or 500-600 million. Like it is, she's still as popular, I think, now as she ever was, which is great to see. Like she didn't flame out, she didn't burn out, she didn't get addicted to drugs and die somewhere, because she was this 12, 13-year-old idol for so many. So I think she has a great story, at least. And I think she's done a lot of interesting music, maybe more interesting than good in a lot of cases, but I'm very intrigued to see where she goes next after this. She's all over the place. She's only 29 or 30 years old, so she has a long career ahead of her if she continues to make music. So everyone was, poo-pooing Miley and talking about, oh, this is the worst week ever, in the comments when we announced Miley Cyrus. But it's, better than at least 3 or 4 of the artists we've covered. Way better than Three Dog Night. I like it better than Sonic Youth, some other ones, and not bad. Not a bad week for the Miss Miley Cyrus.
No. Would love to see her live. I think she's a great performer, and I think you hit the nail on the head. She's far more interesting. She just has a fascinating life and career. I just love her persona. I like her as a person. And I also think that her best stuff is probably yet to come. Like I feel like she can really shape out the smaller, details and the finer points, and maybe eventually have a really good album. Unfortunately, I won't be able to sleep tonight because you mentioned the Lost Boys remake, and I just hope that never friggin' happens. But back to Miley, yeah. I think she's better than her discography, and I think the best is still yet to come. So I'll end with that.
All right. Well, there we go. Miley Cyrus week. Not too bad. Not so bad. You can do it. Listen to the albums. Let us know your rankings. Drop them down in the comments, of course. We love to read them. We'll respond even. We're not too big for that yet. Maybe in a couple of years, we'll hire some temp to do it for us. But for now, it's really us. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course, hit the bell for notifications. check the description below for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website. You can also support us on Patreon. We would love to take your money, and we will put good use to it, though. Videos like this and many more. You can join our Discord as well. We're always talking music in there. For Cramser, for Jason, who's not here, but we miss him terribly, I'm Joe, and thanks for watching.